McMahon series on Netflix is supposed to come out tomorrow, and there's been a lot of hype around it, obviously, because Vince McMahon is such a polarizing figure. And Vince then tweeted for the first time in a year and a half.
And it's at least a long
I think
time.
I've been in a year and a half, and he tweeted out this lengthy statement basically discrediting the documentary and just saying that there's a lot of false information, blah blah blah. It was then revealed that he tried to buy it off of the people who created it and buy it away from Netflix, which of course they said no. And so that's huge. But then there's also a few early reviews of the series out already, and it's getting mixed reviews. And if you guys remember when we talked about this, when it was like originally talked about that this was going to be coming out this month, I had kind of predicted that this was going to be the case based on the trailer that we saw and who was involved, like who was being interviewed and whatever. And then of course there's going to be stuff that happened so long ago that they're not going to have the capabilities to like legitimately verify certain things and details and stories or whatever. So there are people who are saying it's a great look behind the scenes of WWE and how they came up and how Vince did everything. But then there are reviewers that are also saying that they felt kind of disappointed for the lack of like actually. That's kind of loud. Do you have music playing?
What about that?
Okay, I can't hear it now.
That was loud. Oh, interesting.
It was just maybe it just got picked up.
No, it's my thing is loud. I was trying to hear the TV earlier, so I have a flicker.
Then there are people who are also feeling like they didn't go in enough about the things that people wanted to know, or some more of the controversial parts of what Vince did and whatever. So it's interesting because I think it's going to be interesting to see how wrestling fans react to it. I would say more so WWE fans, because if AEW tribalist fans watch it,
I don't count them. I don't.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna say like they're gonna love every second of it because they're gonna love to see WWE painted in a bad light. So I'm curious to see how the reactions are similar or different from the early reviews, and if people have the same issues.
It's going to be very interesting to watch it from a wrestling fan perspective, because the man gave us what we're watching today, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's going to be that mixed with his downfall, essentially. And that's where I've seen the more of the pushback on his end, where he probably didn't want that. I mean, every documentary or whatever that's been made of him has been through WWE Studios. This is an independent person in Netflix, so they're obviously going to be as unbiased as possible. And I could see, obviously we're not going to be talking about the new charges, Janelle Grant, I'm pretty sure her name is, we're not going to be hearing about any of that because it is an open case. So
and that is something that people need to remember when they're going into this, because there are going to be people that are going to use that as a reason to discredit this or to say whatever. But it's like, it's literally an open case going on right now. So they cannot legally speak about it. And I just hope that more people are aware of that, or at least go and figure that out before they start putting out their reactions of criticism, because it might deserve a lot of criticism overall, but that can't be a criticism when they literally cannot do it.
Yeah, you can't do it. Like, talk about the Sable stuff, don't talk about Ms. Grant stuff. Like, there's a difference.
It'll be interesting to see if he says anything about Sable when he's close to Brock.
Sable, I mean, you could bring up.
I'm just telling you. That's why I'm saying I feel like there's going to be certain.
Is Brock going to be even like? Crazy.
Brock. No, Brock won't be in it. But Vince is loyal to Brock, so he might not want to touch that. They might talk about it, but Vince isn't going to have anything to do with it. Like, we won't see clips of him speaking about it, is what I mean. Like, they might talk about certain things, but I would expect that there are going to be moments of his past that he will not have anything to say, you know. And that's what he's said before. There are certain things since he's become a public figure that he refused to talk about, because he doesn't want to paint himself in a bad light. You know, it's like, that's what he's trying to hammer home right now, trying to say there's a difference between the on-screen character of Mr. McMahon and who I really am as Vince. And it's like, no, there's not. As we said, as I told you before we went live, those lines were blurred so long ago that he doesn't know where Vince starts and where it ends. He doesn't know where Mr. McMahon is and where he ends. Like, there is no difference. You know, you can't blame your affairs and all of these other things that you've done that have nothing to do with your on-screen character. You cannot say that that was Mr. McMahon. And if you are, then why have you not been diagnosed with like multiple personalities or something? Like, you know, I don't know. It's going to be interesting for sure. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of takes over the next, you know, week or so.
The timeline will not be quiet. I'll tell you
no,
that.
this is
timeline will not be quiet.
That's going to dominate for sure.